Alright guys, for your face balls today, what I have here is one of my all-time favorites. This happens to be the Buck Marksman. This is actually I don't know if you want to call it a sprint run, but it is the SK Blades Inferno. And for those of you that don't know, the Inferno does come with like a blaze orange handle, which I have dyed. I did this with Rit dye. It was like a dark gray. I wanted to kind of leave some of the color in some of these areas, and so I didn't want it to just be all blacked out. But SK does offer this in a few different options. They also have one they call the Gray Ghost, which does not have the black acid washed blade. But this is just a spectacular knife. For anyone that has never handled one of these, action on this thing is just spectacular. There's actually nothing else like it. This is a collaboration with G&G Hawk, Grant and Gavin Hawk. You can see here this one is done. It has the Boss heat treat, and it's done in S35 VN. The original Buck version of this knife I'm pretty sure was done in 154 CM. Still a good knife. The original one has an aluminum handle scales that has kind of like a blocky texture. It's quite a bit heavier than this knife, and we'll get into that here in a few minutes. But anyway, to start out here, we'll do a couple of size comparisons. So here it is against the Spyderco Manix 2 and the Para 3. This one is the lightweight version. And then another one that's kind of similar, that actually a pretty decent budget knife, is the Kershaw Freefall. So this here is like a $20 knife. I think it's 8CR blade steel. It is assisted, but it does have a few similarities. The pocket clip is very similar to the Inferno here. As you can see, very similar in shape. The Kershaw is a little bit shorter, but both are tip-up carry, right or left side, and as deep carry as they could be. Pocket clip on this thing is just fantastic. It goes in and out of the pocket extremely well. It's just a simple clip. You have no screws under here to worry about like you do on some knives. Just a really simple design that works extremely well, and it's a really discreet carry. It doesn't have, something like I think it's the Buck 112 has the big wide clip that has the Anvil logo in it. Looks kind of ridiculous. You can see this one does have a few scratches on it. I carry this thing all the time, so not every day, but this thing does see a lot of carry. So it's really held up extremely well. I've really kind of abused this knife, but the opening mechanism on this thing is the Grant and Gavin Hawk design. I forget exactly what they call it, but it's like a back strap, and it's just amazing in hand. It works extremely well, and I know a lot of other guys have reviewed this knife. I just wanted to show this one off because it's one of my favorites. It's just an excellent knife. So anyway, let's get into some specs here. So what you're looking at is an overall length of 8¼ inches. You got 3½ inches of blade, and an overall handle of 4¾ inches. The grip length on this thing is 3.8, almost 3.9 inches. Blade thickness is 112 thousandths, and on this S35 VN blade you get a really nice hollow ground blade, and this thing is really nice. Measures anywhere from about 21 or so up to about 25 thousandths behind the edge thickness. You can see I have sharpened this multiple times. There is kind of somewhat of a mirrored finish on there. Like I said, I carry this a lot, so it's not perfect right at the moment, but So as far as modifications to this thing, like I said, I did dye the handle scales. I did try to leave a little bit of that orange color in there. This thing does not have liners in it, so it is riding on bearings. Inside here there is stainless steel washers that go up against the G10, and just kind of your normal nylon caged ball bearings. These knives are a little tricky to disassemble and put back together. It's not terrible, but there is, if you can see it here, that little hole there, there's a 50 thousandths Allen head screw that's up inside there that adjusts the tension on this component that's under here. That's what's keeping the tension on this back strap. So to open and close this thing, you do have several opening methods. You can Spidey flick this knife, and you can thumb flick this knife, and of course you can slow roll it out. And then you also have a really great flipper tab that does have some jimping right on the end of the flipper tab. It is kind of canted upwards, but a real comfortable flipper. The detent on this is different from any other knife. It's not a strong detent by any means, but it's adequate for this knife. But really, all you have, and you can kind of see, I don't know if, yeah, you can tell that this strap isn't sitting down on the G10. There's a little tab there that sticks up, and that's what's providing the detent. You can see as I open it up, this does sit flush onto the G10 there. And so in the open position, you have a similar affair. You have this little tab that swings around and catches that back strap, and again, there's a little bit of clearance. It's kind of hard to see, but it's not sitting down on the G10. But zero blade play, up, down, side to side, and just the action is just amazing. I mean, this blade just free flows back and forth, and pretty unbelievable really in the action department, and makes a really great sound, and really good finger flick, and just a great knife. Totally ambidextrous. I actually happen to be left-handed. I've just because there's so many knives that don't offer left-hand carry, I've just become accustomed to carrying my knives in my right pocket. However, I do use my knives left-handed a lot of times. I just happen to carry them in my right pocket, and so, you know, it works extremely well however you want to do it. Like I said, the thumb flick, oop, screwed that one up there, but anyway, so compared to the original buck model, this is a pretty significant upgrade, honestly. You know, you're getting the S35 VN blade steel instead of the CM 150 or 154 CM, and the G10 scales just make a world of difference in this knife. The aluminum scales are just not all that comfortable. They're shaped the same, but you know, there's really no jimping or anything. It's all smooth and chamfered all the way around. Really, the only jimping is on the edges of this tension bar here, and I guess that's one other modification I've done. I kind of slightly filed these down because they were just a tiny bit sharp, but in the hand, this knife is just really great. Just feels really good. I'm not really sure why people talk about reverse grip. I don't know that I've ever used a knife in reverse grip, but I guess if you did need to, this is super comfortable in that grip as well. But anyway, the original buck model with the 154 CM and the aluminum scales, you can find those. They're readily available, and they sell for right around, I think, about $115. You can buy this Inferno or the Gray Ghost, which happens to be gray G10 with, I'm pretty sure, it's either a satin or like a stone washed blade from SK Blades, and they are $124.99. So for basically $10, you're getting what I would consider to be a much, much nicer handle and a better blade steel. Yeah, it's just a no-brainer. I mean, if you were at all interested in a buck Marksman, definitely check out SK Blades. I think the SK stands for Silver Knights. I do know that they have the Gray Ghost in stock as of while I'm filming this video. I don't think they have this particular model, the Inferno, but you can find them. They're around. I just liked this one because of the kind of acid washed blade, and I had every intention of dyeing the scales, so I didn't really care about the orange so much. But yeah, I'm sure you definitely could black this out completely if you wanted to. I kind of wanted to leave a little color on it, and maybe just kind of, I don't know, kind of has like a little bit of a weathered look. But anyway, so the original version of this knife, the buck version, it weighs 4.3 ounces, and so here we can see with the SK Blades version, this thing comes in at just slightly over 3.5 ounces. So it's a pretty great weight savings there. And like I said, for an extra $10, in my opinion, it's just an absolute no-brainer. This thing is a fantastic knife. It goes in and out of the pocket extremely well. It's extremely thin, and it just does a really great job as an EDC knife. It's good size. 8.25 inches is kind of my sweet spot, I guess, for an EDC knife, and this one just fits the bill extremely well. It's relatively light, and yeah, just a fantastic knife. So for anyone looking for a good EDC knife at an affordable price, check out the SK Blades, either Gray Ghost or Inferno. Thanks, and have a great night.